Hey everyone, so we are going to cut out a circle skirt. It's really simple once you know how to do it, but if you've never done it before, it can be kind of confusing. So we're going to start by folding our fabric the correct way. So if you're doing a full circle skirt and you don't have to cut it in multiple pieces because it's short enough that it will fit across the width of the fabric, then you're going to double fold, which I'll show you in a second. And if you're making a longer length, like the maxi length, or sometimes even a knee length, depending on what size, you'll need to cut two separate half circles and sew them together. And that's just because when you fold it, it won't fit across the width this way. If you imagine that this is the longest your skirt can possibly be, and for a maxi, that's just not quite long enough, so you have to cut it in two pieces. So for now, I already have my fabric folded in half, selvage edge to selvage edge. You can see that my fabric is not lined up, so my fabric has quite a bit of skew to it. And what that means is that if you fold it along the actual grain line, then it's not lining up here. That's pretty common with knits. There's you can get some that are less or more skewed than others. I bought this one as a second, knowing that it was very skewed, so I'm okay with that. With skewed fabric though, you don't want to line up the selvages, you want to line it up based on the grain. Otherwise, after you wash it, it'll re-skew. So everyone, I feel like for the most part, has had experience where you buy like a ready-to-wear shirt and it fits great the first time, and then you wash it and the side seams aren't at the size anymore, they start to twist. So that's because of a skewed fabric that's been cut with it flattened at the selvages and not necessarily on the grain line. So I'm gonna keep mine all crazy like this, even though I know it looks really weird. And so I have it folded selvage edge to selvage edge. And then what I'm going to do is that I know for the skirt length and size that I'm making, that I need to fold this 22.5 inches down. And so the way that you get that number is that for me, for the size I'm making, my waist measurement in the chart is 5.4 inches. And my length is 17, so when I add those together, I get 22.4. I'm gonna fold it at 22.5 because that's a lot easier to find on my cut that. So I know that for me, that is going to be right down here. So I'm gonna fold everything, again, lining up at my fold, which is on grain, rather than lining up at the selvages. So to make sure that everything looks nice on this side, flip it the other way. All this extra here is fine. I'm going to use that later for my bodice. So I want to make sure everything is nice and squared up along that grain line or that fold line. And then flatten everything out as best as I can. I will fully admit that I'm very lazy when it comes to that. So kind of just do what I want. Anyway, with your full circle skirt, you can use a couple different things to measure. It's kind of whatever you want. Some people like to use a straight ruler. Some people like to use a fabric measuring tape. This can be a little bit easier to sort of pivot around, but either one is fine. So what I do is kind of go for it, I guess. So a lot of people will mark with chalk. So I know that I want from this corner, where is my double fold, I want to go 5.4 inches down. So I'm just gonna make a little cut right there so I kind of know where to go. I'm gonna pivot this. Again, make a little cut, make sure I don't cut through my ruler. Pivot again, and make a little cut here. So now that I've done that, I can kind of see my marks. If you want, you're not comfortable making that as one big line, you can go through and add even more. Just little hash marks. Like I said, a lot of people will go ahead and just do it with chalk. I've just made a lot of these, and so I don't usually do it with chalk anymore, and also I couldn't find my chalk. So I'm gonna start at that first cut, and I'm gonna play a little bit of connect the dots. and that's my waist. And so this, like I said, is for a full circle. If you do have to make 2 half circles, what you'll do is you'll still fold from cut edge to cut edge, but you won't have it folded selvage to selvage. So you'll just have it in 1 layer to start with, and you'll fold cut edge to cut edge like I did second. And you'll just do the process twice. So now that I've kind of cut that out, sometimes I'll leave it here just as a measuring point. Often I won't. I'm not going to right now. So I know, again, based on the length of skirt that I want to make, that I'm going to measure 17 inches down from here. You might have a different measurement, and that's totally up to you. Actually, I lied to you. I'm going to measure 15 inches down because I just read my little sticky note over here and it was not 17. Okay, so I'm going to measure 15 inches. I'm going to mark. I'm going to go 15 inches again, mark, inches again. And so now I'm just going to kind of go every little bit and make that mark point just to kind of get an even amount of sort of spaces for me to make sure I'm cutting in the right way. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing that we did for the waist, where we're just playing connect the dots. Make sure you move your tape out of the way so you don't cut it. I've lost a few to that. Sometimes on dark fabric, it's kind of hard to see your marks. So again, chalk is your friend if you want to be a little more exact than I'm being. And there you have it, your circle skirt. So this will be attaching to my bodice later on, and it's just a peplum length, so it's not super long. And that is it. That's your circle skirt.